Hey guys, it's Danny here. Welcome to my channel. Today I just wanted to do a video about healing and talking about anxiety, depression, and all of that whilst I do my makeup. I want to talk about that in hindsight because I am a person that deals with both severe depression and anxiety. Like, I get anxiety attacks and all of that. So if you guys have any questions or you guys have solutions on how to get over anxiety or depression or whatever the case may be, I mean, you guys could link some comments down below and let me know. Other than that, let's get into it. So I'm actually gonna go off camera and do my eyebrows, and I'm gonna come right back. I was like, honestly, it's not like I didn't tell her I get depressed, but I told her, I was like, honestly, I get like this when something big happens to me. Like, I feel like I can't handle it and I just shut down, legit. Like, my mind, my brain, everything shuts down. If I'm not thinking about that exact thing, nothing doesn't matter. And when I told her that, she basically was like, it sounds like you're depressed, and there's a couple of things that she would have suggested if she was in my shoes or whatever the case may be. And I asked her, and she was just like, hey, so I know this great therapist that you could go to, and his name was John, and he was amazing. So I've been seeing him. I am 28 and I've been seeing him since I was 19. So I've been with him for almost 10 years. And I remember first walking in there, and he didn't ask me why I was in there. He just basically sat me down, was like, tell me a little bit about yourself and whatever the case may be. And I did, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a great relationship. He understood me. I feel like one of the reasons why it helps is because for me, not necessarily has to be for you, but for me it helps because he was a Black guy and he understood a lot of this stuff and a lot of trauma that I was going through and I went through. I'm sorry, but yeah, after going to him for about a month or two, I got diagnosed with depression, severe depression and anxiety. And even now, it's a bit tough to go throughout my day-to-day when something bad is happening to me, because like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm dying inside. Like, it's hard for me to laugh, it's hard to put a brave face on, it's hard to do anything that I normally love to do. It's even hard for me to get out of the bed. Depression is like a really bad thing, and everybody feels differently when they're depressed. They do other things. People eat, people drink, and stuff like that. For me, it's just that I go into this really dark place that it's hard for me to get out. And self-medicating is really not that I do. I tend to try to work it out myself and try to understand my feelings and work through it. And that's something I've learned in therapy, having to work through your problems instead of shutting them down and try to get past them. Because if I don't work through them, what would eventually happen, break down out of nowhere. I will snap. Like, it will be as simple of, how are you doing? How's your day going? You kind of look sad today, and I will flip out. Like, I will flip that out. One of the biggest things being with him was him teaching me how to get past a lot of stuff and how to work through them. Because what happens is I get depressed and then my anxiety goes through the roof, like, automatically. I wouldn't say automatically, but I would say, like, I'll get depressed and then I'll get into this really dark place, and then my anxiety goes through the roof. And once I get there, it's really, really hard for me to move past that. It takes me months to move past it, and that's not a place where I want to be in life, especially not now. Like I said, I'm in my late 20s. I have a daughter, and those are not things that I want passed down to her, pretty much. So I want to change that whole narrative, or whatever the case may be, for me. One of those things was making sure that I still see my therapist on a weekly basis. So I see him 3 times a week. Now let's get back to coping mechanisms. For me, one of my coping mechanisms is knowing what triggers me, right? What are my triggers? Why are they triggers? And how to move past certain things. Whether it's somebody lying to me, or feeling like I'm being deceived, or being disrespected, whatever the case may be, whatever your trigger is, it's your triggers. And I feel like you should be able to stand by that and know when it's about to happen before like you go off, right? So one of my coping mechanisms is knowing what my triggers are and how do I react to them. So sometimes you can't stop your triggers from happening, but you can stop how you react to them, right? So I don't know from this video if you could tell, but I am very feisty, and I tend to pretty much go off sometimes. Like, I'm a ticking bomb, so it's like tick, 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 boom. And I had to learn not to always boom all the time. One was learning my triggers. Another big one for me was writing down my feelings and journaling. So I journaled a lot, making sure that I wrote down my feelings, not necessarily feelings, but necessarily words. I wrote down a lot of words that, whether it was the guy that I was dating, which we were dating for a long time, probably like 4 or 5 years. 4 or 5 years. And I wrote down words I felt that were used against me that hurt me. I wrote words that I felt that I wanted to tell him, like the nastiest the nastiest words you could think about. And I wrote, after I started writing words, I started writing letters, right? This is not necessarily to him or whatever the case may be, but I wrote letters to him, not to send to him, but to him. I wrote letters to myself so I could read back a month from the date that I wrote them, or a year, or whatever the case may be, just to look back at what or how I felt then. I would work out. I would go to the gym and let all my frustrations out in the gym, and just try to keep myself occupied. And eventually I I felt like I was moving from like this dark place, and I just started to be happy. I remember it just took like, me and my sister are pretty much best friends. She's a few years older than I am, and she just said something so stupid, and I started laughing. I laughed so hard I started crying. And that was the first time I laughed in a long time, to the point where I laughed and I cried in months. And it wasn't a fake laugh. It wasn't something that I had to fake, or whatever the case may be. It was a sincere laugh. And then I realized that my anxiety happened because of stress, a lot of stress. And being depressed, you tend to stress yourself out a lot. And my anxiety gets triggered not only by stress, but that's one of my main triggers for my anxiety attack. Sometimes you don't know that you are so depressed till you sit in your own silence, in your own head. And I felt like when I moved back home with my mom, I became, you know, learning myself, learning how to deal with my inner thoughts, because I didn't have that. I feel like sometimes when you live with somebody, you tend to be under them all the time, that you don't get your own space. And that pretty much what happened to me. It was like, when you seen him, you seen me, and it got bad. It got toxic, and I didn't know how depressed I was till I was by myself, sitting there in my own thoughts, in my own room, in the dark. Another one of, I really like this orange. Another one of the things that I also learned was, for me, going back to my faith. So I am Christian, up in a church. I grew up in a church. I went to church every Sunday. Bible studies in the morning, Wednesday service, Thursday service, youth choir, dance team, everything. So I grew up in the church, and going back to my faith helped a lot. You know, just sitting there, meditating in the morning, giving myself my first 15 where I get up, you know, brush my teeth like a normal person, and then after that I would make my coffee, sit on the couch or wherever the case may be, read my Bible, listen to worship music, and you know, that got me through it a lot. Because when you wake up, sorry, I don't want to cry. When you wake up and you're going through depression and you're having these anxiety attacks, and I'm trying so bad not to cry, but you're having these anxiety attacks and you feel like everything in your life is pretty much going wrong, right? And you wake up and you feel that. That's something, you feel it so hard on your chest, and it makes you not want to move, not want to go throughout your day, or whatever the case may be. And those are reasons why people don't get up out of bed in the morning when they're depressed. It's because as soon as they open their eyes, it's like, you're like, damn, this is something I'm going through. Like, this is something I have to get through another day. Like, it wasn't a dream. This is something that's really happening. And for me, I try to wake up, and as soon as I wake up, as soon as I open my eyes, I get up out of the bed. Because if I don't, I would stay there all day and just be depressed and wallow in whatever state I'm in that day. And there's a reason why they say people with depression, you gotta take it day by day, hour by hour, or whatever the case may be, because it's really hard, because you get triggered a lot throughout the day. Sorry, I'm like trying to color correct because I am legit breaking out. But like I was saying, you really wake up and you think like, damn, this is something I'm going through right now. It's not like something you could just automatically get over. Like, some people are so good that way that they could automatically just get over whatever like they're going through, or push it aside to get through whatever they're getting through, right? And some people are not. Some people, we're not built that way. Like, for me, I'm not built that way. And I don't want to say it's a Virgo thing, but I tend to overthink everything I do. Whether it's the job that I'm getting or I want to get, whether it's want to eat, but I feel like that's every female. I tend to overthink a lot. That with my depression, with my anxiety, it took a toll. It took a lot, honestly. And oh my god, I really like this foundation. Like, you can't see it on camera, but it's like really, yep, it's covering everything. Like, I feel like I didn't have to color correct with this, you know? But it took a toll on me, and I got really skinny. Like I said, I did not eat, I did not sleep. And after going to my therapist and learning my triggers and learning how to get through it, it helps a lot. And I really hope this helps anybody out there with whatever it is, especially because of what we're going through with Corona and the state of our country right now. People get triggered through all of that, seeing people dying, seeing that our government kind of doesn't really care to help with what's going on because it's like a political stance on whatever with Corona and everything happening. People get triggered behind that and get into a real depression. You're quarantining, you're not seeing your family. For me, I moved to Florida in the midst of COVID, in the height of COVID, and I changed my whole surroundings because where I was made me so depressed. I felt like I was going back into that state. After speaking to my therapist, I realized I needed a new start from where I was at. I chose to come to Florida, you know, and at the time I thought it was I still think it's a really good idea. I love it out here, and I felt at ease when I finally moved out here. It was a thing that I felt like I needed to do to get through everything that I'm going through right now. I didn't want to get back into my depressed state. I didn't want to wake up feeling like I was dying all the time. I just wanted to live my life, if that makes any kind of sense. In here, I felt like that was something I needed to do, whereas, you know, just staying in the same place where I felt stuck or I felt like I couldn't move on with my own life. Big trigger for all of those things, and I felt like it wasn't as stressful as I thought it was gonna be. I thought I was gonna have like legit a breakdown when I moved, but I didn't. I was surprisingly calm, and I realized, I guess, going to therapy for so long, that I learned how to cope. And that's the thing. People feel like you have to live with these things, anxiety, depression, and all of that. But once you learn how to cope with it, I feel like you don't have to. You don't necessarily have to. It gets easier as time goes on, and that's why I truly recommend therapy to anybody who is going through something really big. Whether you're going to therapy for like 3 sessions, 4 sessions, whatever the case may be, I really truly recommend it because it does help, and it's a no judging space. I also went through postpartum depression, which was a really big thing, and I didn't know how bad I had it till I spoke to my therapist. One day I just could not cope. I could not cope. I didn't know how to. And I thought that I was such a bad mom. But I just did not know how to cope with it. My daughter is my only child. I thought as soon as I had my daughter, I would be like those women in the movies and, be crying and automatically feel that love. And that didn't happen for me. I mean, my pregnancy was not the best. I wasn't in the best situation with both of my child. It wasn't ideal, but the stress of that, my job, because I was running two stores when I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was hard for me. It was really and truly very hard for me after I had her. My postpartum depression was the worst, and I did not know I had it till my older brother pointed it out. I didn't want to harm my daughter or myself. Well, I didn't want to harm my daughter at all. But I took my anger out on different people. And my brother had to pull me aside and was like, listen, this is normally not you. You're pretty much like a happy-go-lucky person all the time, and you're always smiling and making jokes, or, you know, for me, my family call it slackness because my mouth is really, really crazy. If you Caribbean, you'll understand. My brother pulled me aside and was like, I think you need to go back to your therapist. And I did. And that was another thing. Like I said, everybody's different. For me, my trauma comes, well, not necessarily trauma, but my triggers come from something big happening in my life. So whenever something big happens in my life, I normally get depressed, even though it sometimes could be a good thing. I tend to get overwhelmed and then I get depressed. That's why I say make sure that you know your triggers when you are being depressed, or when you sense yourself being depressed, whatever the case may be. Just make sure you know your triggers and you know your coping mechanisms. People ride bikes, people paint, you know, when they're trying to get over their depression. People like me, some people go into their faith, some people go to therapy, you know, just trying to get over it. But what I do say is, it does get better. You might feel like when you're in the thick of things that it's the worst thing ever and you can't get over it and the world is about to end, or whatever the case may be. But that's not true. It gets better. The hurt goes away. Well, it doesn't go away, because I feel like anything, whenever you get into relationships, whether it's friendships, it's romantic, it's family wise, whenever you get into those things and things go sour or they go left, they tend to leave scars. They do. But what I am trying to say is things do get better. They do. They don't always stay they don't always stay low. Like you don't always want to wake up and cry. You don't always want to hurt yourself, or, you know, not eat, not sleep, not try to get over things. They do get better as time goes on. You live your life, and as time goes on, you tend to forget. You know, it's not the first thing you think about when you open your eyes in the morning. It's not. And like I was saying, it does get better. You're not always sad all the time. You're not always depressed. Some people, they trigger, I won't say trigger, they get depressed over like certain things that happen. It's not necessarily something that will happen like that day. Some people are happy one day and then the next day they're super sad. Like, it happens, it's life, and we are human. And that's something I do want to point out, that you are human. Things are going to happen to you. It's how we react to them, how we get past it, and overall what it taught us in the long run. Like for me, my first love, my first relationship, that I feel like that was it took such a toll on me, because I loved someone so deeply and I felt that so deeply. So when, even if I was the one who walked away, it still felt like I was losing a part of myself, you know, because we were together for so long and we were like freaking Bonnie and Clyde, or, you know, a donkey and a fucking tail. Sorry, gotta cut that piece out. But yeah, that's how we were. And I felt like I lost my best friend, and I lost the person that made me comfortable and understood who I was. You know, just understood my crazy, unperfect self. But overall, I learned that being in a toxic place, you can't thrive off of that. You can't, that's not a place you could live or grow from. And I had to walk away, even though I was depressed in the relationship and I was depressed walking away. Like, sometimes you just know when things are done, and I knew it was time to move on. If you are going through any of this, depression, anxiety, stuff like that, you feel like you're gonna wake up or you want to harm yourself, I feel like you should get out and you should call 311, 411, whatever that is, the number for information, and they could give you a list of therapists. There is Zoc.com or Zoc, the app, where you could go on there and it will give you therapists in your area, as well as the price point. If you can afford it, I suggest calling, if you don't have insurance, I suggest calling like the 311 or the information hotline in your city and just asking them where you could get a therapist for free, or how you could apply for insurance so you can talk to someone for free. In my case, when I first started my therapy sessions with my therapist, I had insurance with my job. Starbucks is, well, at the time I worked at Starbucks is a really good place to work for benefits or whatever the case may be. So I got insurance from them to see a therapist, and that helped a lot because the therapist I went to, like I said, was very expensive, and before I even saw him, I had to do a whole bunch of tests and stuff like that to make sure I wasn't like bipolar, or I didn't have like something wrong with me up there, or whatever the case may be. So that helped a lot. Thank you, Starbucks. But yeah, I feel like you should just, I wouldn't say figure it out, but I would say see where you can get help where it's needed. I feel like your mental is the thing that people least regard, and just feel like it's okay to walk around angry or mad or all the time, and that's not something that you need to be doing, or whatever the case may be. You can go get help. If you are depressed, you do have anxiety, you are bipolar, whatever the case may be, I don't think it should be something you should be ashamed of. I feel like it's something that I want to say it's a part of you, because a lot of times depression goes away, but when you are diagnosed with severe depression, those are things that could always come back, right? Bipolar is not something that you could just get rid of. This is something that you need to take medications for, right? It's a part of you. It's not gonna go away, and I feel like you shouldn't be ashamed about it. I feel like we should embrace our flaws and see how we could work on fixing it. I honestly don't think being mentally ill or have any issues with your mental is a problem. I feel like Black people put a stigma on it, and we're supposed to be Black and we're supposed to be strong, and these are things that don't happen in the Black community, and you shouldn't feel that way. But That's not true. Our black kids are killing themselves because they can't they can't come to their parents and let them know, like, hey, these are the things that I'm feeling, or they can't talk to people without feeling judged about it. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case. Like, I got my comfy PJs on. That shouldn't be the case. They should be able to come to their family members and say, hey, these are the feelings that I'm having, or these are the thoughts that I'm having, and I don't feel like they're safe or they're normal. Like, I feel like shoot I feel like if somebody in my family did see a doctor or did see a therapist or whatever the case may be, they would have known that I was so depressed for months. They would have known that it wasn't normal for me to cry in my sleep or wake up crying. They would have known that it wasn't normal for me to lose 6 dress sizes in 3 weeks. They would have known, but they didn't. Everybody probably thought, like, oh, yeah, she'll get over it, whatever. But if it wasn't somebody else, an outsider looking in and saying, like, that's not normal, that's not okay, that's not something you should be dealing with. Even if you say you're strong, you shouldn't be dealing with something like that, you know? And I am very thankful to my store manager for looking out for me and seeing that I was going through. I'm going to finish my makeup off camera and I'm going to come back because this is starting to get a little long and a whole lot of emotional. So let me finish this and I'll get. Okay guys, so I am back. This is the finishing look. Add some lashes, a little blue under, you know, get on here and say that if you guys do feel depressed or anything like that, please try to talk to someone, try to get help, especially if you're underage. You're not able to see a therapist if you do not have somebody like your guardian or somebody older than you. But if you do feel like that, whether it's a friend or a family member that you can entrust in, let them know how you feel. Let them know that you think it's in your best interest for you to see somebody that will help you get over that little bit of a hump or whatever the case may be. If you are going through postpartum depression, I do want to say it is normal. It's okay to feel depressed and have the baby blues after having a baby. It is normal to feel not okay. You just carried a human inside of you. It's normal to feel like your life is over. It's normal to feel like everybody else's life is going on and yours is not. It's at a standstill because you're home in 4 walls with a baby and that's the only person that you talk to all day, or yeah, pretty much talk to all day. It's okay to have anxiety attacks. I wouldn't say it's normal, but when you are so stressed or you know something is going wrong in your life, it's okay to feel that way. But what's not okay is you're not getting help for it. When you feel like you want to take your life, or you feel like you're at the end, you're at the dark place, or you're feeling like you're underwater, it's I feel like it's not okay for you not to get help for certain things like that. And I will link down a lot of support groups or whatever the case may be at the bottom, so you guys could check that out and try to get help. For me, somebody giving me a lifeline, I want to call it a lifeline, but somebody giving me a lifeline to talk to somebody without any judgment in the room, just me and that person trying to understand, or me trying to understand why I felt that way, was a big help. And I want to do that for you guys as well. Especially in our climate, I feel like it's something that we need to have or we need to talk about, especially in our Black community where most of us feel like if we do reach out for help, we are weak or we are not enough. I don't want you guys to feel that way. Um, I want you guys to reach out for help and seek help and feel better and be okay with not being okay. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be down. It's okay for all of that to happen to you. It's your life, and you're not always going to be happy. You're not always going to be laughing. You're not always going to be smiling. But when you do reach those dips in your life, I feel like you should reach out to somebody else to help you out on that. And I don't want to say dark moments, but those are dark moments because those are not moments that you bring out to the light and you want everybody else to know. I'm very open about my healing process. I'm very open about my triggers. I'm very open about boundaries. I'm very open about pretty much everything in my life. I'm an open book, and that has helped me through my process and has helped me to work through a lot of things. And I feel like once you find somebody that you could talk to and you could be open about, then you should reach out to that person and, you know, let them have it. Maybe a breakdown is something you probably need. Like for me, getting out of a relationship, a long-term relationship, a breakdown was something I needed to get everything off my chest and just keep moving forward in life, because I just needed to feel everything, because sometimes you hold all of that stuff in and you can't move past it, and that tends to bring you into a deeper place of depression. So I feel like mental health should be the number one thing, because you're not healthy if your mental is not healthy, if your mental is not right. You're 100% not healthy. Your body could be at its all-time best, but if your mind is not there, then are you really healthy? No. Your growth is the best thing ever. To see yourself grow, to understand yourself, I feel like it's the best thing ever. I've been learning so much about myself in the last 8 to 9 months, and I feel like my mental is stronger than it has ever been. I feel like I'm stronger than I've ever been in my life. I know what I want. I know how to get the things that I want. I know the discipline that I need. I know, like I said, triggers is gonna be, damn, you could count how many times I say triggers in this video, but I know my triggers. I know how to move past my weakest moments or try to move past it. I know how to get through those things, and that has made me stronger. It has. And I feel like if I'm not healthy up here, I cannot do anything else. And it's a work in progress. Like I said, like I just went through something major in my life, and the last 9 months has been crazy. I've seen myself do things that I never thought that I could do. I saw myself getting stronger by the day and learning myself and understanding myself and understanding why I went through certain things and just taking in those lessons. And I feel like without therapy, I wouldn't be able to do those things. I wouldn't. And I would like for y'all to feel that joy too. Like, I might not be smiling right now, but so amazed at myself and at how strong I am mentally and everything else. Like, I wish you guys the best, and I hope that this helps you with your mental health, and I hope that this allows you to reach out to somebody else or a therapist or whatever the case may be, for you to understand yourself a little bit more, a little bit better, whatever the case may be, and you guys move on from there. If you guys have any questions, you could link them down in the bottom. If you guys have any therapists or information or anything else that could help somebody in the meantime, you could link that at the bottom as well. It's very hard to find therapists out there due to COVID. Everybody's losing their jobs and they do not have insurance, or they could afford it to see somebody right now. So if you guys have any information, you could link that down as well in the comments, and I will have a whole bunch of links in the bottom. So I hope you guys stay safe. Hopefully when this goes up, it will be Christmas. So I hope you guys do have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Goodbye.